I'm Andy Frost and I'm from Wolverhampton, England. We're here to set the street legal world record here in Bahrain. We've been street legal racing now for 20 plus years, really successful, held world records before. We're trying to get this one back. Primarily we want to run and start running 5-second quarters and then go for the record after that.
So my name is Shane Tecklenburg. I do race car electronics and racing consulting for many different teams all over the world. And one of those teams is the Red Victor 3 racing team out of Wolverhampton, England. I've been consulting with these guys and working with them pretty closely ever since the Red Victor 3 project started in, I don't know, maybe like 2011.
I'm Gary Frost. I'm Andy's son, as well as crew chief and kind of mechanic.
My name's Badger. I'm from Oxford. I run Hard Knock Speed Shop. I'm currently chief fabricator for the team and I crew alongside Gary, the crew chief.
I'm Deb Frost. I'm married to Andy Frost. I've been married for 37 years. I look after the team. I watch everything what's going on. I might not do a lot manually on the car, but I do watch things and I do notice things.
My name's Nick Bradley. I'm from a little village called Borsall Common, same as Nick Wadsworth, and I'm here to support Red Victor 3 in its quest to reach the 5-second zone in Bahrain.
Okay, my name's Nick Wadsworth. I'm from the same village as Nick Bradley, or currently live in the same village as Nick Bradley, and not far down the road from a guy called Andy Cowan, who is the guy that really introduced me to Andy Frost and Red Victor 3.
So my name's Gurmeet Danjal. I'm originally from a small city called Derby in England, but I currently live in Berlin, Germany, and I've lived there for just over 1 year.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Andy Betson. I'm from Swindon in England. I work out in Riyadh, and I'm here because I'm the official chai waller for Team Red Victor 1 Racing.
So Red Victor 1 Racing started in 1982 when we bought a standard Vauxhall Victor and basically kept modifying it. So different engine, different gearbox, then another one more powerful, and then another one. And so we got to a point with the original car where we couldn't go any more with it, so we built another identical one but called it Red Victor 2, and then again, engines, gearboxes, make it more powerful, faster. They basically took the car, got to Red Victor 3, which is this car behind me, and we've gone from 16-second quarter miles to 6-second quarter miles with the same basic car, although they've been different. Hence the 1, 2, 3 Red Victors.
Interesting story, actually. I had known of the team owner, Andy Frost, through just keeping track of what racers are doing in different categories across the globe. And I knew that he had been running Red Victor 2 and had read about him. So I knew the name, and I got an introduction to him through Paul Yacht of Injector Dynamics. Andy had contacted Paul looking for injectors and told him about the project that he was building, Red Victor 3, and his goals to try and become the world's quickest and fastest street legal car.
But yeah, we're well known around the world for doing what we do, and some people don't like it, but that's kind of how it goes. We've got a lot of supporters, a huge amount of supporters, so hello supporters, we're here in Bahrain again, looking to take this record.
I said basically, look, if you're serious about doing this, I'm going to be in Heathrow Airport. I had a 6.5, 7-hour layover at Heathrow to come to Bahrain. I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be there Friday at between 3 o'clock and 9 p.m. So if you're serious, why don't you come to Heathrow? I'll come through customs and we'll go grab some coffee or whatever, and talk about this and I'll show you the kind of system that I'm talking about, and I can show you how the software works and how we could make it work for your car. And he agreed to do that.
The ultimate goal on this trip is to run 5s. That's primarily what we want to do, is run 5s. Everything else is a bonus. We're going to go for the record, but 5 second quarter miles in a street legal car is really what we want to do more than anything else. Like I say, the record, it all depends. So it depends how hard it is for us to get to that 5. If the 5 comes really easy, then the record will probably come. If the 5's really difficult and it only just gets there, then we probably won't get the record. But 5 seconds, we're happy with.
You know, we achieved our goal right away in England of becoming the world's quickest and fastest street legal car. But since then, and maybe the inspiration came from that car and the numbers that we ran with it in England. But the cars that have now eclipsed that mark have run quite a bit quicker than the car in that configuration was ever going to be able to do. So a couple years ago, when someone ran a 587 or something like that with a, you know, loosely street legal version of a car that's, you know, basically it's a drag race car that you can drive on the street, not a street legal drag race car. But be that as it may, I mean, the title is still legit. It is a street-driven car, and it did set a record of 587. So Andy wanted to try to go after the record, and I told him, you got a couple problems. I mean, the first problem is you don't have the hardware in the car to be able to run that kind of a number. And the second problem is you don't have the right country. In England is a great country to go to and visit, but it's a horrible country to try to drag race in because it fucking rains all the time. Street
legal record is 585 at 252 miles an hour. But the car that did that is a lot lighter than this car, so we're up against it straight away. They strip all their cars down. So the guy, Jeff Lutz is the guy, and it's the way they do it. They take all the radiator off and cooling system and everything and make the car really light and run, whereas we didn't want to do that. So our penalty is we have to run with a weight. People will say, well, why don't you take all the stuff off? I just don't want to. For me personally, how can it be a car when you're taking all the parts and running and putting it all back together? I'm fine with it because there's no rules in this game, but for me personally, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it the way we're doing it. So, like I say, 5s will be the first people outside of America to ever do that. We're the fastest outside of America anyway, street legal, but the 5 is the bit at the end that we want.
Take it to Bahrain. Take it to Bahrain, where the weather's great, the track is killer. They already bring someone from the States. They have the right equipment. They have the right knowledge. Clearly they have the budget to be able to have the finest facility in the world, in my opinion. And I'm already going to be there working for the Econ Racing team, and we sort of run it by them a little bit, and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Come, you know, bring the car here and try and run it and see what happens. So it just made sense to bring the car here because it's the best opportunity that there's going to be able to achieve the goal that he's set now, which is to run a 5 with his car.
Well, the first 4 days was an absolute nightmare. Andy was getting stressed, and at one point, you see, people don't see the stress, the blood, sweat and tears, as I say. I do. I've been on the journeys home where no conversation whatsoever, not a word. So now and again I have to take Andy out and say, have 5 minutes on your own to gather your thoughts.
Yeah, so like every car, you have teething trouble. So we put the engine in, put the transmission in, started to put fluids in. We had a couple of leaks, and we had to figure out the leaks. Firstly, the engine wouldn't even turn over. So we have a starter that was fine the last time we used it, but seized up solid. We thought it was a battery initially, but it wasn't. It was a starter. So we've got a spare starter with us. So we go in the truck, get great. Then the next thing, the injectors all start leaking. You turn the fuel pressure on, and it's what's going on. Trying to search around. That's the downside of this here. Is finding, if you haven't got them, is finding out. I didn't think I had O-rings, so we spent 2 hours trying to get some, and actually I did have some. But it's been a year since I was here, so I forgot where they were. So it's that kind of thing. But obviously, we had a crank seal oil leak, and one of the guys, Hamid here, he got us a seal. That was lucky for us, because obviously if we'd have had to ship one in, it would cost lots of money and downtime to it. So firstly, we had a problem with the starter motor and didn't think it was a starter. We thought it was a battery, so we fixed that. Then we get the fuel pressure up, and then fuel just comes cascading out every injector. So we're trying to find some O-rings, haven't been able to find them, found them in a truck. So yeah, wasted a couple of hours, but that's cars. That's how it goes. So on to fixing that, and let's see if we can actually start the engine up.
Motorway all the fucking time.
Yeah, well, that looks like it's coming from the
one on the side
behind. No,
the one behind the plate.
Yeah, it's coming from that. So we're gonna have to set this plate up.
So the one thing that we have here is the people are helping us all the while. The track staff, Adil Sharji, Hamid, they're great guys. They'll do anything they can. If they can help us, they will help us, or they'll give us a phone number, and that's the same for everybody. People are helping and want to help out, and that's great. It's the world, it's the whole drag racing family of the world. That my choice to come here was a great choice. Obviously, it's a long way away from home. And when you need to fix something and you haven't got it, sometimes it can be an issue, but so far we've managed to fix everything apart from the heads last time. But that was our decision it wasn't worth they weren't worth fixing, so we had to take it home and fix it properly.
Me and Gaz basically run the car together. Any stuff that needs doing, changing, replacing, fixing, we mostly figure it all out.
Like when we got here, the amount of fight it was giving, it was kind of, I didn't know if it was a sign that, okay, maybe the car doesn't want us to actually run down the track. But then obviously things started to come good. And
nothing that gets in the way will stop us. We've worked till silly o'clock in the morning, we've had the car in a million pieces. I mean, when we got here, the car was just rolling. There was no engine, no transmission, no nothing. We put the whole thing together in 4 days with a couple of minor issues that you would expect. So we just don't give up. And until we get that goal, we still won't give up. It's what we do, it's why we're here.
Well, we got here and the engine was in a crate, the gearbox was in a crate with all the parts, and we got it together really quickly. Over the last couple of days, we found a few bits and pieces that we've had to fix, but we're on schedule. Our schedule was to have the car running, which we have, so that nothing's leaking and everything is good by today, Wednesday, and run tomorrow, because Shane arrives tonight, and then he will be here tomorrow. And then he's on the laptop, making sure that everything's all good before we take a trip up the track, which is really important for us. We've got a budget, so to go out and destroy something immediately because we haven't waited that extra 10 minutes would be so foolish. So we're here for 2 weeks, so we've got tomorrow, Friday, and then all next week. So we've got plenty of chances to run at it. And again, because we're here, because the weather's predictable, chance of rain is almost no chance of rain. So we can plan rather than going like we would in England. We can go somewhere and it's like, is it going to rain or isn't it going to rain? That's a good thing. So we've got plenty of chances to get down the track to make sure the car's all good and then really start turning it up, because we haven't turned it up yet. We've just kind of, the last time we were here, we were really worried about the heads on the engine, and it kind of, that's what ended up. So we did little tiny bits and pieces to it to make the car go faster. The hope is we can run much more rather than running every like 4 hours, is run every hour or so we can get way more runs in to test. And yeah, I'm really confident about this whole package that we've got. I'm confident it's going to do it.
We're just putting some of the injectors back in. Other than having the starter that was screwed up once they've got the engine back in, and then having fuel leaking out of all the injector O-rings and the fuel rails, and then having the crankshaft seal on the front of the harmonic balancer leaking oil once they actually got the engine started. Shortly thereafter, a bunch of the injectors got stuck open and started leaking, so we'd take the fuel system back off and take the injectors apart to clean them out and put them back together, so we put it back on the engine, start it, run it. We're finally back where we should have been probably on day 2. And this is what, day 4 I think for them, day 1 for me. But yeah, just typical race car stuff. That's how it pretty much always goes. The plan, total world domination.
Yeah, well, we fixed the injectors, so Shane's bought us another set of injectors, as he does, because he's brilliant like that. Planning to get the car running, Shane on the electric spanner to kind of tune it up a little bit, and do a boost test, and then hopefully the car will be ready to go and have a run. So that's the plan today, have a run, see where the car's at, and then go from there. Maybe boost testing.
It's already up in the air. Might as well do it now.
Yeah. I think so, because we'll have to get it back up in the air again.
I could try that, but I think it's too rich also. I mean, I could try that one and let it be that and try and make that leaner instead.
Yeah.
Instead, because I was going back to where it worked earlier and sneezed because I didn't even realize how, I thought it stuck itself again at 3,806 pounds.
Yeah, no, it went further, and it got eventually. As soon as it got to me, it was.
So, I mean, of all the ones we've done, that technically is the best one because it didn't sneeze and it got to the boost it was supposed to, it just surged, and it's too rich. So I think I'm going to go put that back in and lean it out and see if it'll go.
Yeah. Take off. We always have that discussion between me and Shane. He knows what he wants to do. He just comes and discusses with me just to make me feel happy. So we're in trial mode at the minute. So it's no good taking it up to the start line without it getting boost where we need it to be and right. So we just get it right here, even if it takes us an hour or 2 hours more than it should have done. It has to be right here, and then we're confident when we tow it up to the start line, it will go off the start line with the right amount of boost and not cough and sneeze and stuff like that. So yeah, we're on it.
set of my 800s that I have for one of these economy cars. And then we started struggling with this spooling thing and having the backfire issue, and it was like, last night I couldn't sleep again. I don't know why I can't sleep here. So I'm laying there thinking, you know, I wondered if we're causing a problem that we didn't have before. So I decided, let's take the 700s apart and see if we can find a problem and try and put them back in and use them, because we're chasing something that I just know that it's not normal, the problem we're having. So anyway, came and took the injectors apart today. Of course, we found a bunch of aluminum and shit in some of them full of rust. So we cleaned them all up. They're going back in the car now. They're checking the compression, and then we're going to start it up, spool it again. So assuming we put everything back how it was and it spools and works like it's supposed to, which is what it ought to do, then the plan for tonight would be, you know, I think this is Eliminations Day, so the odds of us getting more than about 4 opportunities are pretty slim. So probably realistically we'll only get 3. But with all the other problems we're having, and we have been having, I think it's only prudent that we go up there and make a 60-foot pass, come back and, you know, look at parts and stuff and see if anything's fallen off or what else the next thing that is that's broken before we go try to bomb it down to the 8th and cause a bigger problem than we have. So we'll probably go make a 60-foot blast, maybe, depending on that, probably make like maybe a 330, and then the last one, run it to the 8th and see what it runs. I don't think we'll probably won't go quarter mile today because we still have all next week. And once again, like with limited parts and, you know, with the trouble we've already had, it just seems like it's better to just a little bit kind of crawl before we try to run. So
you don't want to break stuff flat out. You want to, you know, the stuff that's going to go. You want it to go gently.
Yeah, let's at least learn some stuff. I mean, that was kind of the plan last year too, was to just run the thing to the 8th, get it quick there, and then once we knew it was quick enough to be, you know, something reasonable, run it to a quarter. It's not like it's not meant to run a quarter mile. It's just that the last quarter mile or the last 8th mile of the drag strip, there's not a whole lot of tuning going on. It's really just at that point, how much power can the engine make and how fast can it accelerate the car. You kind of know that part's going to work. Having said that, you're also putting the engine under the most stress for, you know, more period of time. So it just makes more sense to get it as quick as it can be to the early part of the racetrack. And once you kind of have something that you think will probably work, then you go ahead and take a shot down to a quarter mile. So, you know, look, that's the plan right now, but it's, what is it, 3 o'clock or something. So that could change drastically. I mean, if we go up there and the first run is our best 60-foot ever, usually what happens is that your ego gets in the way of your logical thinking and you just go, oh, you know what, send that thing all the way a quarter mile. And that could happen too, but that's not the plan. So the odds of that happening are slim, but, you know, obviously, look, if we're going to go for it, we'll let everybody know so they can tune in and I don't know, maybe somehow will us there.
Sounds fucking great. Right.
Awesome. Hey! Only took us a day and a half. So there you go. So that's what we meant about boost testing and not bang here. There we go. So great job by everybody there. Figuring it all out, getting it all sorted out. So yeah, now we're ready to run. So next time we'll be up there. We're going to drive it around first, so try and bed the engine in a little bit, come back, get it all ready. Off we go. So, yay!
When you put the front end on, jump on that.
last. Again, Friday, 5 days later, we made a hit. So we need more power. That's me and Shane were discussing that. But it ain't broke, so that's good. Step one.
We don't know that yet. Just wait.
Well, I ran it all the way back. I drove it back here, so it's not broken. So step one of however many steps we need to get to where we're going to be. So it's all good. All good. Happy.
First run. I mean, we were going to shut it off anyway, so now we can go through and check everything, make sure everything's still lined up like it was supposed to be and functional. It's got, we basically have the exact tune-up that went 409 last year, but we took a whole bunch of gear ratio away from it, so it's going to act lazier. I changed that wheelie bar that was steering, the car was steering left before, now the fucking car steers right, so we can kind of use the wheelie bar to straighten the car out. It needs more horsepower. It's got the tire stuck as soon as the trans brake comes off. So honestly, for what we just did and what we've been through, I'm all right. Nothing's laying on. It's got the same number of parts on it that it started with, so that's always a plus. And we'll just work from here. I think it's fine to probably go to the 330 on the next one, and then after that we'll bomb it on down. Okay. So much fucking spring in it that it puts all of the spring in the wheelie bar, and then once it stops it fucking keeps chucking the car up off the ground. The carbon bars are much more rigid. The only way it can stop is the wheelie bar has to be not so springy.
But we could never get, you haven't got rid of it. It's not as bad as it was before though.
No.
Yeah, you almost flattened the tyres before, didn't it?
Looks better than the other day, earlier.
Anyway, the ambulance isn't here, so we were told specifically to not go further than 100 foot, because obviously no ambulance and we crash, and so he allowed us to do a 60-foot pass, and we made that improvement. So it's good, man. That's what we want to see. That's the reason we're so happy that the track's open for testing. Happy and thanks to EK for letting us go on the track that he's kind of bought. So that's all good, man. It's good. We hope to improve on the next run too. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it's a nice improvement on the next one. We're going to have a little bit more power on the start line. So we'll see. Under Shane's direction. It's how you overcome all these things. So, like when the first problem comes along, you don't give up. So we just keep fixing the problem. Don't give up. On to the next problem. Just like every race team in the whole world. Obviously, it makes it a bit more difficult because we're 5,000 miles away.
I mean, I've got no doubt. When Andy says he's going to do something, he succeeds. So I've got no doubt he's going to do this 599. And for all the people in the 5-second club, we're doing it all for them. We're doing it for everyone who's given. We're doing it for Rob, our crew guy who never made it here. It's the most humbling experience when people just sit there at home and want you to do so well.
To run a 5-second quarter mile, whether that's 1 or whether that's 2, remains to be seen. To go 599.999 and to have the car in one piece, all together, the engine running good, after it's done, that would be the goal for me. And obviously to get the car down the track, back in the pit lane, service it and make sure it's stood in one piece, and to make as many runs down the racetrack as possible. And obviously a 5-second door slammer, well, not only that, but a 5-second road car was immense. Like 10 years ago, people running 9s would be like, no way would you ever get a street car to run 5s or a door slammer to run 5s. And technology and stuff has moved on so far that you've got cars pushing, well, door slammer race cars pushing the 5.3s, and that is incredible. So you're pushing the boundaries of what's possible, really.
From this trip, the first goal is run 599 or less. We're getting close to that. If we do that and we've still got more time, then I guess we'll turn it up and see what it will do. Obviously the record, it would be cool to take it back, but if it doesn't happen here, then who knows? Maybe we can run it in England. Once we know how to make it go 5 seconds or faster, the rest we can work at. For sure, with the car not being here, we wouldn't have been able to do what we've done. The weather's been perfect, the track is absolutely perfect. The people that are here, the help that we get, and just the amount of track time, like in England we get maybe 5 runs a year if we're lucky. It's kind of the 5 seconds or bust attitude.
To be honest, I was really nervous. I normally don't really get nervous, so I think the first few runs I was, but not too much. And then as soon as we got that 4-link rear suspension set up, which Gaz found out, and the older guy set that up. .630. As soon as we got that and we really started to get down, that's when I started to get really nervous, because then I thought, actually, we can do it this trip, because every time the car came back, everything generally looked good. And yeah, I think it was more, I was just very, very nervous at the start line.
Will it go down the track? You know, will it spin the tyres, go nowhere? Will it break something, or will it just hook up, get down there, run, you know, better than it's run before? You never put a target on that says, oh, this time it's going to run a 602, this time it's going to run a 603. What you're really saying is, I hope this time it runs better than it ran last time. We knew what we'd like to do. We know what it ran the last time it was here, but we'd sort of got no idea whether that was actually the limit of what it would do, or whether we could get it, and how much further we could get it.
When we showed up here with the car, basically with the same setup that we had but with the new engine, there was two other changes to the drivetrain. One was the torque converter, and the other was the gear ratio. So we have a converter that's it's a little bit looser than the previous converter, and we have a different gear ratio in low gear, so it needs more power to accelerate the same, because the gear number is actually lower. It's like starting off in a higher gear with a stick shift transmission. So the same exact tune-up that made the last run here last year and we had engine failure on, we put that in the car and went to the starting line, and it left the starting line, but it shook the tires and didn't quite want to go straight. So finally, I got tired of watching it shake the tire, and after all the trouble everybody had gone to for the first 4 days, you know, with everything that went wrong when they got here, I said, let me just at least see if I can make an adjustment, manage the power in a different way, and see if we can get the car to at least go down the racetrack. Now, our goal, starting out, because we had so many days, and because we don't know what parts are going to fail, because the car's basically experimental, was to just simply run to the 8th until we could kind of duplicate our performance from last year, and then work forward from there. Having said that, we also knew we were starting out a different year. The track's not necessarily exactly the same. The race car certainly isn't exactly the same. So our approach was to just make the car go down the racetrack no matter what it runs, and then slowly progress up back to where we were last year, maybe after a day or two, considering the fact that we had several days to be able to run the car to figure it out. So the second day, after we went 4:29 or whatever we went to the 8th mile on the first day, the second day, we wanted to work on making the 60 foot quicker. But man, this kind of a race car and this kind of a racetrack are very difficult to figure out, and they are extremely finicky. The car is heavy, it doesn't want to accelerate. That means the tire has a lot of grip because the car weighs a lot. The track is sticky, which is why we brought it here, because the track's killer. But that combination means you have to either be super aggressive and get the tire to spin, which is difficult to do without making several runs that don't go anywhere, or you have to be a bit more conservative, manage the tire a little bit better, don't put the power in. It's not the quickest way down the racetrack, but when you're trying to figure out every single piece of the racetrack, it's better to make runs that go all the way, even if they're slow, than it is to make a mistake, make a mistake, make a mistake, make a mistake, and then finally bang one out of the park. Because the thing is, you won't know how to get back where you were. So the idea was to just try and step the 60-foot time up on test day 2. Well, it was viewed as a complete failure because we never went down the racetrack in 4 attempts, and we also never made the 60-foot time better than 1:10. But it also kind of was telling us, hey, stop working on this part of the race. It's not going to work. You need the car to work on it some other place on the racetrack, because the changes that we made, it would not accept. But at the end of test day would have been, I guess, technically 3, we had run 6:18 with the car. Suddenly the way off position that we thought we were in, of running not even as good as we had last year, now it's starting to show some improvements and some potential. And for the first time, we got to see what it would run if it went all the way to the other end of the racetrack. As a matter of fact, I think we went 6:36 first. And then 6:18. So it kind of gave us an idea of what the potential of the car might possibly be.
If we come away with nothing else, that's not bad, is it? 618. You've just literally improved 2 tenths and a tenth in the 8th, just like that. Hey! Look, 9 days later. And it ain't just me, I'm just in it. It's everybody else. Well, new PB by a country mile, so fuck, this week has been so long. Well, this next week, but we've improved. So it's not 5 yet, but that's like not bad. That's not a bad start. We've picked up. Just got to keep improving. So luckily on that run, 1 parachute pull and the cable broke. So if the cable had broke, I might have just gone straight into the kitty litter, so we've got to find but it's mint, man. Everybody, thanks to everybody for the work they've been doing this week, the whole team, Shane, just, man, it's just been, we're knackered, but good start, and we've still got 4 days left, so who knows. That's what we wanted to see. So we've been messing around with the power at the top of the track. So the engine was just literally going flat. So now it's getting up to 8400 shift, 8800 shift, 8400. So that's way better, way better.
So that first decent run when we ran 618, obviously we knew we'd got to run 0.3 of a second quicker than we'd ever run before to get in the 5s. You suddenly thought, yeah, we can do this. It's not such a stupid idea.
Universal best, 6:18, and we are ready to go. So in the next half an hour, 40 minutes, we will get back down to the start of that racetrack and we'll do it all over again.
Yeah, it's going good. We're on 6:18, and new PB by just under a tenth. So surely 2 more runs again will be 5. If only it was that easy. But routine service now, valve clearances, spark plugs, top the fuel up, fix the parachute cable, and away we go again. Hopefully we can go, well, consistent really with what we just had. So he kind of deep staged, he rolled in a bit far, which probably lost him some ET, but probably you're talking hundreds if that. So let's get it back up there, give it a go again. Hopefully it goes straighter than it just did. It drifted over, still left, but we'll see what happens.
Best numbers ever, and kind of the car shuts off after a quarter mile. The fuel kind of surges forward and shuts off. So we towed it back, and Gary always checks the lash every single run, and the lash had opened up quite a lot, so he was like, stop, we'll get what we think it is apart, and it was what we thought it was. Luckily for us, the camshaft, which normally absolutely ruins itself when that happens, it wasn't at all. It was pretty good. So we kind of dodged the bullet there, because if the camshaft had been gone, we haven't got a spare camshaft. Got spare lifters, no spare camshaft. So yeah, from potentially finishing right there to, oh, it's all right. We thought we were going to have to take the whole engine apart, but we didn't. Badger managed to get the lifter out, which I didn't think was going to be possible. We actually got it out, so big ups to him for that. Just mechanical failure. I mean, we checked, I know all the lifters were checked, but you can't take them apart and check every roller. So although they feel okay, it could crack a little bearing inside. You can't see it, you can't feel it. The thing is with this car, we can't make huge changes because a huge change doesn't seem to work. We have to make little tiny incremental changes to take little bits of the time off. And that's, we tried a couple of times this week, we tried to change something big and it just didn't work at all. So it's Shane's kind of keeping me sane, because I would just go, oh man, we'll just change that. But I'm listening to him and he says, look, don't, just do it this way. So we're doing it that way. And it's paying off, because 6.1, well, it was nowhere. And then suddenly, so I got down the bottom and I just thought that was crap. It was over and I come off the throttle and back on again. And the guys came down and told me the time. It's like, what? I did swear, to be fair, which is kind of my usual when somebody pokes a camera in front of me. But yeah, I was surprised, probably as surprised as they were when they saw it go through the start line. Probably had to kind of rub their eyes and go, was that really that? So yeah, it's good progress. It's took 9 days to get there, and a host of problems that we've overcome every single one so far. We're not thinking, oh, there won't be any more problems, because it kind of isn't that way.
Tomorrow, we're going to go for it. We know how to make it fast in the back half. The first couple of runs tomorrow, we're going to go for it again. Make sure the 60 foot and the 330 foot's right. If it is, then we'll have it. We'll send it and make sure it does what we came here to do. Nothing will stop that. So providing it holds together, it behaves itself, then yeah, we'll send it.
Gaz did some research on the suspension setup, and Gaz and Badger decided that we needed to rebuild the back end of the car and reset it. We did that, did engine boost. Took it down for what I thought was going to be a 330 foot pass.
Man, 604 with a really street legal Pro Mod. Man, that's hauling ass. And that thing looked bad to the bone. We made some chassis suspension changes to the back of the car. In fact, the boys did them. And I mean, it totally worked. You could see the car go straight down the lane. And that thing, when the power came up, just kissed the front end off the ground and just got on with it. It was fucking badass. I'm so happy for them. That's great. So now we're five numbers away from having our pleasure.
And it ran 6.04. Hallelujah.
For 10 days, day 10, and it actually went right. What a ride that was, man. Serious. That was fucking really fast. Awesome. This what all the hard work, all the pain, money, everything just for doing stuff like that. Fuck, what a fantastic team, man. That car just went straight as an arrow. Awesome, the whole team. Yeah, awesome. Oh.
Running 604, which is unbelievably close to a 5 second. I mean, to be honest, I did not expect to make that sort of a performance jump. The 618 from the 636, I could see that coming. The 604 from the 618, that surprised even me. And it really, like, ramps up your expectation level real quick. It also puts a smile on everybody's face, which is great. You know, we're dealing with guys that they race maybe a couple of times a year. They're not a professional race team. They have to do the same work that a professional race team has to do in between each run, except they don't have the experience of doing it week in and week out, right? So everything takes a little bit longer. And I mean, the guys did a masterful job all week, and they're really operating like a well-oiled machine at this point. They might as well be a professional race team because they sure work like one. Between Badger and Gaz on the engine, and Badger looking at the suspension and taking tires off, and just basically looking over the car to make sure there aren't problems, or if there are problems, they catch them before they're big problems. And so we were able to run 604 and 603, which really serves to like back up your confidence that, hey, by the way, this is real. This isn't a fluke. The car really is doing this.
No, we've had 10 days of nothing but grief, and then we go out and run an 04 and 03 back to back. That's what it's all about. You get nothing and nothing and nothing, and all of a sudden, 2 amazing runs back to back within an hour of each other. It's crazy. The whole team, the whole start line just went wild. The pictures and videos will prove that. Everybody was just shocked at how such a heavy car can go that fast in the back half. You know, the amount of people that said, oh, you'll never do a sub 2 second back half, you'll never do this, you'll never do that, and we're like, hello, here we are, we've done it, what's next? It's great, man. It's just awesome.
So we'd done the 604, and I thought, well, maybe it was just one of those things that we got a bit lucky and it all came together. Then when we went out and we ran 603, I thought, no, it's not a bit of luck. It's everybody's hard work. It did what it says on the tin. It did what it was supposed to do, so it was fantastic.
After the qualifying day and we'd gone 603, we had extremely high expectations for the final day. and this would be our last opportunity. And you know, I'm sure it makes the story better for you because it's the last day, and if we do it on the last day, then just the build-up is better.
So it shook the tyres, turned the car right. We think the track is so much more stickier now, so we'll change it and give it a little bit more boost at the start, try to get it. And then if it's got a bit more boost at the start, it'll have more boost as it comes through the 330 foot. So we'll give that a go. It's just there. It's that kind of phases us a little bit. So we'll figure it out for the next one. Didn't happen until I got fully braked here, so it's like that was better. Now we've got to change the tyres, so we won't be able to run again today. But we got one. We're gonna quite literally leave it until the last one, I think. This one. So that's kind of there it goes.
But we had some high expectations, and I even was, you know, I couldn't hardly sleep between Saturday or between Thursday and Friday, between qualifying day and eliminations day. I couldn't hardly sleep because I just had things running through my mind like, what other possible things could we do? Because I've been there before with the Supra that didn't want to run in the fives, you know, and we were only a few thousandths off in a couple of cases. So I told these guys, listen, let's loosen up the front struts, let's let the wheels hang in the beam, let's give ourselves every possible advantage we can. What I don't want to do, I don't want to overlook something, even no matter how small it is, that while I'm sitting on the airplane flying back from Bahrain to LA, I think in my mind, geez, I wonder what would have happened if we had done this. So I told them yesterday morning, hey, listen, let's loosen the front shocks up, let's let the front end hang in, let's take advantage of everything we possibly can. Let the tire pressure down in the front tires because that gives it just a tiny little bit of extra run at the clock before it starts the clock. So we did that, went up to run the car, and lo and behold, the thing goes 602 at over 250 miles an hour. Now,
6:02, but
It had run 246 earlier in the week, and even that was kind of a surprise. When it went over 250, again, I didn't hardly make much of a change. So this thing is basically responding to the changes that I'm giving it more favorably than even I expected them to, which is always nice. So once the thing had gone 6:02, the funny thing is about that run, it was no doubt the straightest run we made. The adjustments to the chassis were working. Finally, everything was acting like it's supposed to. I had turned the boost up on that run, or before that run. Once the thing had gone 6:03, I said, let me just give us a little bit of extra to try and push it over that threshold. It's just such a huge amount of effort that has gone into this, and the group of people that are behind it, and the energy and the build-up. I mean, I felt like a 5-second pass was imminent. On top of that, I fixed the overboosting problem, and I didn't fix the overboosting problem because that part's good. What I fixed was my countermeasure to keep the engine alive. I said, it's at the last day. If it's going to break, let it break, but we're going to go for it. And made a couple of other small changes to it to try to keep it faster in the middle of the racetrack. And we went back out there to give it another try, and it surely looked like it was going to go ahead and do it. It was a little bit slower in 60 feet as the track wasn't quite as good as the first run. But I think it had enough momentum at that point, looking at the data, that it was going to be ahead of the 6:02. So early in the run, it'd be difficult to say by how much. It might have still come up short and run 6 flat. I don't know. I guess we'll never know because the diff gear broke. Basically, the pinion gear broke, jammed all the teeth in between the pinion and the ring gear, and then split the rear end housing, or the casting that holds those gears in, and that sort of ended our day. Now, the diff could have been, and we were trying to replace it. But the problem is, not only did it break the diff, when the diff breaks, there's a roller clutch inside the transmission that usually fails because it's loaded one way with power against it. When you effectively put it in neutral, it breaks that piece because it snaps back the other way. And so they knew that they didn't have time to fix the diff, take the transmission out, take it apart, fix it, put it back in, and make another run before the end of the racing last night. And so unfortunately, that left us not achieving our 5-second goal, but certainly with the satisfaction that we are right on the edge. This was like an appetizer. And the problem now, of course, is that the money that had been set aside, the funding and all those things to be able to come and do this, were unfortunately at the end of that, which means that at least this chapter of the story of Red Victor and the 5-second club and potentially 5-second time slip has come to a close, which is bittersweet. It sucks to be that close and fail, but we can be very proud of the progress that we made. I believe that the people that thought, even within ourselves, even me, that a 5-second time slip was possible but probably not likely, I believe that we've probably changed their mind and proven to them that certainly we have the determination and we will get there. And we will get there. It may not happen in Bahrain like we thought, but guess what? We have the knowledge of what it takes to run a 6.0 second elapsed time. We've got 3 time slips to prove that we know how to do that. They are fixing the racetrack in England. And you know, with any luck at all, maybe by the end of October, Andy could take the car to that track and run the thing there and maybe put the 5-second time slip number up in his home country of England, which would be great.
Right, well, yeah, first of all, we didn't fucking do it, so that was stupid. Because what the plan was, obviously, was to do it in this 2 weeks, and every single day the car kicked us in the bollocks. And we had to fix it. And then when we did fix it and then we got it on track, it either shook the tyres or spun the tyres or went left, and then we got it down the track a couple of times, and then we made 2 massive improvements that like fucking shocked everybody, including us. And then yesterday we had 3 runs, 2 of them shook, and then the 3rd one did a good 8th. Yeah, brilliant, great. Last day we're going to do it on the last day. And then we ran 6:02 this morning at fucking 2:51 almost. And it's like, it's there, and then it breaks the diff, so it kicks us in the balls once again. So there's where we're at. No more days left. We are literally out of days. So, well, I didn't, Andy did. Andy posted up and said about all the stuff, and honestly in my mind it was, nah, let's just bring it home. But obviously you guys enjoyed the last 12 days.
The decision now rests with the 5-second club as to whether we raise the funds and whether we come back again. If it was just down to me, we'd be coming, and we could raise the money. I mean, if I got 20,000 quid that I could throw at Andy, I would. But I haven't. So we see what the guys say. I hope to see you again in a month or so, but who knows?
Andy and Deb, just thanks. Thanks for trusting me with your race car, giving me a shot years back, and still, and stepping up when it didn't look like this was going to happen the way we thought. You just immediately said, no problem, get your plane ticket and come. We'll find a place for you to sleep. We'll find a car for you to come to the racetrack in. We'll do whatever it takes. We don't want to run the car without you. It means the world to me. I mean, the fact that you trust me with that thing down there that is basically everything you've ever had for the last 30 years. I get a little, it even chokes me up a little bit talking about it, but I think you guys hopefully know how dedicated I am to you, how much I appreciate your friendship. And look, whether we ever run a 5 with this thing or not, we'll always have something cool to talk about, and we're always going to joke around and be friends, because at this point it's more that than it is a business relationship. I know you know what I'm talking about, but just thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me involved with this car. I'm extremely proud and excited to be able to work with you guys. So thank you very much. To the members of the Red Victor 5-Second Club, the full club members, each of you that donated and put your name on the back of that race car, you are every bit as important piece of this team and the success that we've had. Your positive energy, your constant management of money, and giving us the resources and the opportunity to be able to come and try and do this. We really, really appreciate it. It's a job for me, obviously, but it's one I really, really enjoy. And I especially like the camaraderie of the group. And you guys are, like I said, when we go down the racetrack, We go down the racetrack with 400 people on that race car, not just one guy sitting in it and 3 guys standing behind it on the starting line and one lass over there watching from the side. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot. Would love to be able to put a 5-second time slip up for you guys, and we will do it at some point. It's just not going to be now. But hopefully we'll have one real soon. And once again, thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Charlie, you left before I could say goodbye. One person I always looked forward to seeing when I came to England was you. Your smile, and the way you looked, you didn't even have to say anything. You had a huge impression on me when I met you. You were taken from us way too early. I'm really a better person because I got a chance to meet you. I wish I would have had a chance to introduce my wife and my daughter to you when we came to England, but you had somewhere else to be, and that's cool. When we run that number, there's no doubt in our mind that we know that you've got some pull and some extra effort coming from up above to make that happen. So thank you, man. Action.
So, Andy, I'm really inspired by the story and the progress that you guys have done with your car. So, I'm decided that I'm going to be a donor. But the only way that I'm going to be a donor is I'm going to donate some money to you in the form of cryptocurrency, as in Bitcoin. And I know that you have
fucking monopoly money.
Yeah, you have argued with me in the past that it's monopoly money and that it doesn't exist, but I'm going to give you $500 of value of Bitcoin, and you have to open a Bitcoin wallet, and it needs to be filmed, all right? And you have to prove to us that you get this Bitcoin and you cash it and you put it towards the car, and then I want a fucking sticker on the goddamn car, either Magnus or Bitcoin. And that's what's going to happen.
So here we are, 4th time around. We've been really lucky with our club and sponsors and everyone else that's helped us to come here for another crack. The last time around we were so close to our goal, and the support from everybody to get us back here has been unreal, and now we're here and we've worked every single day.
My name is the German. As they said, it has established itself obviously because I'm from Germany. I'm an immigrant to Wolverhampton, where Andy resides.
John Hammond, one of the founding members originally from Red Victor Club.
The plan was to come back for round 5 and run the car because there wasn't going to be time for them to take off of work to run round 4 and round 5 together. So the idea was to ship the parts back to the diff, put the car back together, inspect the engine, and we would have several days to test and then run during round 5.
Our plan was to pull the engine apart because we weren't happy with the one side of the engine just before we left last time. So we've come back, we pulled the head off. Nothing untoward with the gasket or the bore or the piston or anything like that. There's a couple of valves leaking a little bit more than we would like, so we're going to fix them. The one thing we really need is the crate. So I had a crate delivered here. We sent it in great time, sent it with FedEx. They really dropped the ball, so it still isn't here yet, and we've got a lot of stuff. We've got the diff and a lot of stuff inside the crate that we need to get the car back together, so that's what we're waiting for now.
So from the minute we got here we decided, okay, let's just sit down, have a think, have something to eat, get our thoughts together before we, basically begin with the car again. So on that first night that we were here, we decided to set our plan together, which we did. We knew exactly what we were doing with the engine, with the wheelie bar, with the suspension, with everything. We had an entire list of things to do, and from day one there was issues. So the first day we got the head removed. We got the gasket replaced, got everything changed that we needed to. There was a couple of valves that we thought were leaking, so we decided to change them.
The shipping company said guaranteed shipping on the 28th, I think. We came in 27th on the 28th. So obviously the parcel wasn't there, so Andy had to chase up the parcel. I think it went as high up as regional directors chasing the parcels on both sides, FedEx, Bahrain and England, as it got rerouted over Paris and Dubai. It should have been on a direct flight, because there are direct flights. So yeah, that was the first, I wouldn't say let down, but setback. But we were lucky we had such a lot of work on the car that we weren't actually missing it at the first day. It came in time, we lost 2 or 3 hours because we didn't have it, but beside that it was still good, but it was still a hassle.
I got the wheelie bar stiffened up, welded, thanks to EK for use of his welder, as always. We just did everything we possibly could on that first day and then into the following 2 days to make sure that nothing was going to catch us out, nothing could get us unaway, and made sure we left ourselves plenty of time to be able to repair anything.
So that's the plan that got set in motion, and that is exactly what they showed up and did. First day they got here, got the pit set up, and then the stuff that was tried to stop us started. They didn't get the parts on time. They had to move garages from over there to over here. When they got the parts and put them in, some of them didn't fit. They got new starter motors, they didn't work. The parts with the engine they had a problem with. On and on and on, to the point where we lost a couple days of testing early from parts that we had to fix and make work.
So we got the car fired up and we were plagued with injector problems. Whether they were sticking or there was dirt in them or the coils were knackered, there was just issues. But every single issue that we had, we came across. We got everything fixed, everything sorted, got the car running. And it sounded good, it sounded strong. It worked as well as it did last time. We made a couple of boost tests, checked it out a couple of times. Shane changed a few things just to make sure that everything was 100%.
Got quite a good recall. We got the car ready to run. Team decided to send it, and it first run. The fuel mixture wasn't right, as there was obviously a bit of race fuel in the car, which should have been methanol, and the map didn't correspond well with the race fuel. Obviously, wrong fuel, no good running motor, so it was a shut off.
Crap, man. Thing went just like fucking in orbit, and the engine nosed over about 1,000 foot and just kind of come off it, and it didn't sound good either. So we're gonna check it. It's the usual highs and lows of this bloody game. 1 minute you're great, next minute you're on the floor. What? turbo oil seals, or the turbo pump stopped working because I have no idea how it happened, but there's a nut inside the, there's no nut in the turbo and there was no nut in this pump, but there was a nut in the line, and it had caught the pump and caught the gears and it stopped working. And then the turbo started smoking and the one turbo never recovered. So spare turbo on, cure that bit. Then, honestly, it's been so much, I can't even remember anymore.
Once we started running the car, we made like sort of one mediocre run down the racetrack, and the next run it blew a head gasket. And now they had the massive job of trying to take the engine apart, see if it was something they could repair.
Went down the track, blew the head gasket out the thing because an injector failed.
Within our first couple of passes, we unfortunately had the head gasket let go. Quite spectacularly. It pushed it out at cylinder 7. We think this was down to an injector failing, so the engine detonated on that cylinder and literally blew the head gasket clean out of it. And all of us worked like absolute madmen to get the head off. We got it removed to find that luckily the head wasn't damaged, neither was the block, just it had destroyed the O-rings. We run a double O-ring setup, figure 8, both in the head and in the block. The problem was we didn't have any wire. We had a couple of guys coming out the following Tuesday, I think Tuesday or Wednesday they came out. They brought some with them, which was great, but in the meantime we decided to make the effort to go and find some ourselves. So we went out, drove around, and we were going to a petrol station, I think, because Nick needed some fuel. And we stopped at this electrical shop, tiny little place, little Indian dude, real nice guy. He said, "No, I haven't got any, but follow me." We walked probably 300 yards from a shop, just left it open, took us into this alleyway. It's a very strange little building full of weird and wonderful things. The place was pitch black. And on our way out, hanging on the side, there was some galvanised steel wire that was exactly the same size. I mean, we didn't have any veneers to check it, but just looking at it, we're all agreed, like, okay, this could work. Let's get it, and it's an option. We get back and it's exactly 51 thou. We're like, brilliant, happy days. Between me and Andy, we filed the heads, just removed any nasty gouges, got it all cleaned up, got the wire stuck in, got the gasket back together and reassembled it. So once we got that sorted, we had an intake valve leak. Okay, well we're not pulling the head back off, so a little trickery around it with a drill and some grinding paste, and we managed to make it seal. So tested out again, all okay, put it back together, and we noticed the cam has got an issue with it. Okay, we don't have a spare cam. We're not going to get one in the time that we're here. So I had to climb underneath with a piece of nylon rod, about this long, taped some wet and dry to the end of it, and just cleaned it up a little bit. And the decision was made to just run it and keep an eye on it.
I'd say the hard work paid off, and as I'm obviously part of a team, I was happy that it worked and paid off. But at the end of the day, it wasn't what we tried to achieve in the first place, but we got some data, so the tuner could work on it, the chassis could be reset and everything. So.
Get that car down the track without breaking anything, still running everything,
the guys and the crew, Gaz, Badger, Nick, Scorpion, Deb, everyone, man, they did a fantastic job getting us back out there. So yeah, quality day today, although obviously we're not qualifying for anything, we're just trying to set this record and get a 5. So today the car, last night we went through the car, checked it, all seemed all good, checked it this morning, got an issue with the lifter, but we've just changed the lifter, so it's all ready to rock and roll. We're going to make a pass, hopefully a full pass, see what it does. Shane's made some changes this morning, came round. Made some changes to the boost, to the way the boost is, comes in. And then hopefully we can get the 6.0s again and can kind of push on. We've got 2 days left, and every day that goes by there's only going to be today. Tomorrow there won't be no more tomorrow, so we need to get running today. Hopefully we can get 3 or 4 runs in. But as it happened last night, we got up to the top there, got shut off 3 times, car wouldn't start, so we missed a great opportunity to run last night. But there was nothing we could do, nothing. So yeah, we'll see how today goes. But the car's good, I feel good. So maybe, inshallah, it'll happen today. Who knows?
So we went back and forth and we kept having issues. I think 2 days ago, maybe 3 days to the end, we had 2 runs in the entire day, and both times it shook the tyres.
Unless it went straighter than that 602, but I doubt it did. Yeah.
Steering person over here.
Yeah, straight in the car. I'd leave the rear steer and the preload, do the fucking wheel bar, take the struts out, put the tires on, put the tires at the same pressure. I've got the timing, I actually fucking bent the timing of the torque curve over more than what it was with a 602 to try to make it calmer coming through that section. More timing in it for the first 1 second, so it'll do what it just did. get it, yeah, just to get it up, then keep it like this. Boost curve, all that shit back to 602. And the launch light's the same, 162.
So we all sat down and we sort of figured out that something's wrong with what we're doing. So we made the decision to put it back to exactly how it was when we went 602. The tune was the same, we removed the struts from the wheelie bars, I climbed underneath and set the four link and rear steer and everything exactly where it is. We put a bit more rear steer in it, just, you know, that doesn't affect tyre shake. And we went up to the start line and okay, the 60 foot was a little slow and the 8th mile was a little slow, but it went 608. So okay, we're in the right direction.
Yeah, so we want to get Shane out, get the data downloaded, get Shane over here, make some changes in some spots where he sees, so we just go faster. I mean, obviously 608 is 600s off where we were before, but of course this week's been crap. So that is a massive improvement. Car went all the way down the track, didn't turn right, well, didn't turn left, actually turned right a little bit. So, but I could still shift and kept my foot in all the way, which was high five to all the team, man.
Okay, something's really not right here. We bring it back, Shane plays with it, puts some more fuel in it so that when he rolls off the throttle, it's still putting fuel in. Tested it in the workshop, put it into gear, just made sure it wouldn't cut out no matter what we did. That worked out fine, okay, but we're all a bit dubious as to how that was going to go down. Anyway, we decided to take the last shot, last run of the event, last run of our time here, and Andy decided to do a static burnout just so he could control the throttle a little bit more. Now, if you watch the YouTube stream, you will see that me and Torsten stood at the back of the car, we held it steady, he rolled just outside of it, we lined him up, put it into race mode and brought it up into boost, and it sneezed and died.
I'm sorry that we failed. But I'm not sorry that we tried.
Yeah, but man, what an effort. What an effort we put in this last trip. Every single problem we came across we fixed until we couldn't run out of time to fix problems. So yeah, we ran down the track twice in 11 days, 10 days. I'm really disappointed. my dream, it was 450 people's dream. The people who supported us and the sponsors who supported us. I hate failing. The only time ever in my whole life that I've failed at something, and I'm not going to get an opportunity to do it again, so it would have been so fantastic a story to do it in this last day, but it ain't to be. And life's like that, man. It ain't always ups, there's downs, and you have to take the downs. But if it weren't for my crew, my boy Gary, Deb and Badger, and Nick and Shane, and all the people who were with us, who just bust their arses all, well, for the 4 trips, not just this trip, 4 trips, man. Oh, it's a disappointment, but we tried. We couldn't try any harder. Yeah. Everybody loves a trier, I guess. More people love a winner. We kind of lost today. Thanks for watching.
To fail would be to not try. And we tried. We failed, but failure really would be not trying in the first place. So I'm sorry that we didn't achieve the goal, but I'm not sorry that we put the effort in to do this. And this was a crazy idea that Andy and I spawned in our heads a few years back. Like, the fact that we even kind of did it, it's something we'll be able to look back on for the rest of our lives. And I mean, these people I've met, you know, over phone calls and over since 2012, and now our families are friendly, and I mean, I'll remember the frost deep in my heart until the day I'm in the ground.
Made some good friendships, met a lot of wonderful people, and that'll be the big takeaway for me, the big plus for me from this, including you two guys, and the guys at the track here, and you know, everybody else, and met Shane in the process, and Mikey. So from that point of view, you know, it's been wonderful and worthwhile. Would I do it again? Not next week, that's for sure.
Beyond the Frost and the Red Victor 5 Second Club, I really have to put a huge amount of thanks forward to my family, and that would be my wife Heidi and my daughter Bella, who put up with me being away to let me go out and be a part of things like Andy's dream to try and run a 5 and Econo Racing, and they put up with their husband and their father being gone a lot, and that's a big ask. And it is how I provide for us and put food on the table, but it doesn't make it any less difficult for them. So to Heidi and to Bella, thank you guys for letting me come out here and do these things. I love you for it.
I will take away with me a part of Bahrain will always stay in my heart for the people I've met, like yourself, like Hamid. They will always stay in my heart. But I'm proud of what the team have achieved, but I'm just sorry that we didn't achieve to the full members club, you know. So, that's it.
Probably one of the best things about this whole journey is making new friends and meeting new people, and it's been epic, so thank you.
It's been a ride, man. It's been a blast. It's been everything in between, and I wouldn't have ever not done it for the world. So, thank you, Bahrain.